Hello. Hello, 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 hello. I felt like going live tonight because I wanted to tell you guys a story that is real, that happened to me, that changed my life, and it empowered me to become this person that knows that everything that's happening in this world is just a temporary, illusory experience, and that what is really happening to us is something that is deeply profound, that is ineffably empowering to a degree that if we as individuals were to suddenly become aware of it, we would be able to reorganize the details of our life in a way that was harmonious, in a way that empowered us so that we knew we could face anything that was in our path. But it's up to us as individuals to realize this. So, sorry, hold on, I'm having my computer. Okay. So, I'm going to tell a little story and it's going to lead into a lot more that ties into what we're experiencing right now as a species on this planet. So, for those who don't know, I went to prison. I got a 5-year sentence for selling marijuana. This is a while ago. And it, as you can imagine, was a devastating blow to my ego, to my life, to the family, to my family, friends, the people around me who love me. It was just devastating. And when I got there, and the cold, sobering, hard truth of the choices that I had made that had led me to where I was at that point in my life was like holding a weight on my shoulders that was so heavy that I didn't know if I was going to be able to even bear the weight of it because it was freaking brutal, to wake up every day with people screaming and yelling and feeling like you are stuck there. Not feeling, knowing you are stuck there. You are in a prison that you are not getting out of. And anybody or anything that is going on is part of your reality. And I knew that was part of my reality for the next few years. And when I first got there, I was having a really, really hard time with it, as you can imagine, as most would have it. So when I finally came to my senses and realized that I was spiraling in a mental, emotional, and spiritual prison of my own making that was internal, that was causing the actual physical prison that I was in to be way worse than it actually was. Okay, because it sucks, right? Obviously, going to prison, nobody wants to do that. It sucks, right? It's awful. But for me, it was something that gave me way more than most get out of it. Because most people, it breaks their spirit. It causes them to become so fearful of the world, to become so resentful, to become so victimized that they will blame anybody and anything who they think may hold power over them to the degree that they give away their own power and become subjected to a set of laws and rulership and essentially dictatorship that they are consenting to, that they are unknowingly but willingly surrendering themselves to and allowing these greater things to have power over them. So when I got myself together and I got my senses together and I realized I was inside of this spiraling, self incarcerated loop within the actual prison itself, I was like, all right, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to take my power back. I'm going to tap into something that's in me that I can't articulate. I can't put my finger on it, but I know it's there. I don't know how I'm going to tap into it, but I'm going to do it. And so I began to explore whatever those possibilities might be. And one of them was, in the prison, there was a bunch of different religions, as you can imagine. And so there's always religious meetings, religious groups. There was a Christian group, there was a Jewish group, there was a Muslim group, there was a Santeria group, believe it or not, that would actually practice real spells, and they worked. There was a Native American group and a few other ones. So I started going to every single one of these meetings because, as people who know me or those who don't, I'm a spiritual person. I love the idea of spiritual potential and what that might hold in store for me existing in my life and what that might mean. And so I began going to every single one of these religious meetings. And I would go in and I would introduce myself, and they would say, "Oh, are you Christian? And or are you Jewish? Oh, are you Muslim? Or you this?" And I would always say, "Well, I'm all of them, and I'm open to exploring what they all offer." Some people liked that, others didn't at all. And interestingly, there was a chaplain there, a Christian chaplain who oversaw all the religious activities of the entire prison. And this guy was very, very biased against anybody who did not harbor the beliefs, the Christian beliefs that he did in the way that he did. He had a literal, or what he would probably coin, a literal indoctrination according to the traditional beliefs of what most think modern Christianity or modern religion looks like. And so he was, and I'm judging him by also saying that he was a very, very judgmental person. And so, but I also found it odd. I was like, wow, okay, how can this really strict religious Christian man who's very judgmental of everybody else but the people that believed exactly what he believed, why was he in charge of all the other religious meetings and groups that did not harbor the same literal beliefs that he did? I always found that kind of interesting and odd. And I noticed that in the prison, okay, of all the groups that I was going to, there was a sweat lodge ceremony on the grounds. And when I saw this sweat lodge ceremony, like these grounds there with an actual real sweat lodge where they would build a fire and put the grandfathers in the sacred stones and they would actually conduct sweat lodge ceremonies, I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe it was there. And so when I approached those guys, the Native American brothers that were at this prison and on their grounds, they were like, "Whoa, no, 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 don't come here. Don't come on these grounds." And some of them were kind of laughing, but others weren't. They weren't laughing at all. They were like, "You're white. You're not coming on here." And I just was like, "Whoa, like, okay, it's prison, you got to really mind yourself. You got to be careful what you say and do because you show any kind of weakness or you show any kind of aggression, it's going to come back to you one story or another, in one way or another." Hey, Hannah, Pamela, Jamie, Karen, Sherry, I want to say hello. And I'm going to tell a really, really powerful story. I'm going to give a really, really powerful example. And if people want to ask questions about it after, please do, because this is not about me. This is about you. This is about us. This is about what each and every one of us are going through right now as a species on this planet. Because the very thing that seemingly oppresses us and incarcerates all of us is the most beautiful, powerful thing that there ever could be. And it's actually seeking to set us free. But we have to rise above the conditioned victimization of our own perception in order to be able to meet this greater force that's happening and learn to actually work with it. And in doing that, we will be set free, but we've got work to do. And again, I'm here for you. I want to help everybody here understand what they may need to do. And believe me, I am nobody to tell anybody what to do. However, if you resonate with what I say, if you feel something inside of you that feels like, whoa, there is truth. There's something in what this man is communicating that is resonating with a part of me, then I ask that you listen to that part of yourself. And you really listen to that part of yourself more than anybody or anything, because the more that you do, the more you will eventually come to a place where that part of you becomes the actual guiding force that will free you of everything that appears to be oppressing us, because it's not, but it just appears that way. But it's our job to break the conditioned perception that most of us are addicted to, that keeps us in a state of belief or disbelief in all the things that we're witnessing happening around the world. So I'm going to help break that spell. I'm going to help you break that spell. And I'm going to do it by telling you how I did it. So when I approached these brothers at the sweat lodge, like I said, half of them were like, okay, cool, like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Others were like, no, get him out of here. He's white. We don't want him around. And I just told him, I said, look, I'm not Native American, but I have done many sweat lodges in the past. I don't believe in anything because I know that there's way more going on than I could ever believe. But I know that there's something inside of me that guides me through the darkest moments, the darkest hours, the darkest nights, the darkest years of our lives. And when I listen to that, it has delivered me. It has brought me through things that I shouldn't have lived through. And I trust that. And I want to be a part of this sweat lodge ceremony with you guys. And they were like, wow, okay, never heard anything like that. And so it was a very democratic process in that, they have, each group has their own members in the prison, and each group, especially on the Native American sweat lodge ground, they decide who gets to be a part of it or not. And these guys basically voted. Half of them were open to having me come down and be a part of it, and other ones were not open to it, and they didn't want me to come down there. And so I went down, and the guys that didn't want me to come and be a part of the first sweat lodge ceremony didn't go. And so I went down. They started training me. I had to be a fire keeper and tend the fire and learn that before they would actually let me sweat. And it was such a beautiful, empowering experience to do it, especially inside of a prison. But bit by bit, as I would get to know these guys and become acclimated into their world and their devotion, something that some of these guys have been doing this their entire lives, because there were men who were part of tribes from all over the United States and in other places around the world too, and they're just all in prison. And so there's different traditions within that, and many of them had great respect for each other, and there are also times when there were others who didn't have respect for each other. But the guys who didn't want me going there, I kept approaching them on the prison ground, stating my case, opening my heart to them, getting to know them, telling them that I want to know them, I want to be their friend, and that they can trust me because my heart is pure, my intentions are pure. I want the same thing that they want. And one guy was just, he's like and excuse me if this is politically incorrect, but I'm here to break down all political incorrectness. I'm here to break down all social stigmas. So if you have a problem with me or anything that I say, then call me out on it. And please do. And let's do this in a way until there's resolution. Because upon the appearance or the outward projection of words, thoughts, beliefs, whatever it is that I may express through my human form, that's just the outward expression of a deeper meaning that is where I am truly motivated to speak from and to live my life from. So call me out on it. But they were like, what do you want? I said, I want to heal. I want to live as a complete human being. I want to live in accordance with this energy, this spirit, this great being that is animating my being, that is causing me to exist, that has this profound innate intelligence that is causing my body to live. I know there is a miracle of life in my being, and it's in your being, it's in all of us. And I know that consciously, most of us are not focused on that. And I've come to a point in my life, especially being incarcerated, where I am ready to give my attention and my focus to that with the intention of integrating whatever those missing pieces are that keep me from consciously knowing this beautiful infinite intelligence that is causing this miracle of life to animate my body and live as an integration of that human awareness in conjunction with this divine essence, you could say, that is allowing me or gifting me this opportunity to live. And I had this conversation and many different degrees of it with a lot of these men, especially the few who didn't want me to be a part of the sweat lodge. And they believed me. They eventually trusted me, and I won them over, and they believed it. They were like, we trust you. And one of these guys, and this is what I was going to say before I went into that, about the judgment thing. He was the stereotypical Native American image, just this like tall, brave, long black hair, just tough as could be, been in and out of penitentiaries for many, many years of his life. He had scars all over his body from getting into wicked prison fights for survival. And he is very intimidating to pretty much everybody in the compound. But I didn't see that. That was just because that's how he looked on the surface. I knew there was something in this man that was pure, that was powerful, that was had heart resonance to my heart. And I just kept working on him. And he was like, whoa, who's this dumbass white dude who won't leave me alone? Because a lot of time when I would try to talk to him, he wouldn't even talk to me. He would just ignore me like I wasn't even there. And, again, in prison, you say or do or be the quote unquote wrong way, you're going to get punched in the face, you're going to, or something can happen. But I was just so sure that he and I had a connection that I was willing to do whatever I had to do my best to establish that connection. And he eventually, again, like I said, we made that connection. And he eventually just started laughing. It was funny, we're eating at the chow hall. That's where they call it when you're in prison. You're eating food and, you're eating at the chow hall. And it's, that's when you're in prison because you're just surrounded in this place where you're forced to eat food that you wouldn't eat unless you were starving, which we pretty much were. And I went through all this with him, sitting across to him, and he's just like, what is this guy talking to me about and why? And But when I finally got through to him, he just started laughing, and he looked at me and he goes, "Chow's pretty good, isn't it?" And we both started laughing, and it was just like this great connection, a heart-to-heart connection. So from that point forward, he came down to the sweat lodge ceremony, and some of the other guys that didn't. And they started sweating with me, and they started paying really close attention with me. And my friend told me, the one who he became one of my closest friends in the world, he's a direct descendant of Chief Joseph. He's a Nez Perce, people of the heart. And he said that's what he felt in me, and that's why he opened up to me. And he said that he's been sweating his whole life since he was a child, and that, you know, the tradition of how they would sweat and the songs they were sing were taught to him as a baby. And so we would go in to the sweat lodge and we would pray together, and we would sing these songs together, and we would cry for each other and pray. And these were men who, some of them had been in prison for 40 years and were, you know, everybody they knew and loved died or had just so many things. And we would all take turns praying for one another, envisioning the best outcome, and just giving our heart and soul to each other, but as a whole, all working together for a group. And I became very close with those guys. And it was such, they actually made me a pipe keeper, which is an honor to be made a pipe keeper by native brothers when you're not native like I am. I definitely have an indigenous soul, but I'm not Native American blooded. But here's where this gets interesting. And this is where it's going to really tie in to what we're experiencing as the world. So back to this chaplain that I was telling you about initially. There was one chaplain, a deeply religious Christian man who was very judgmental, very mean, very unaccepting of others' ways and traditions and beliefs. But I didn't care. Again, I went to every single religious meeting there was because I wasn't going for the belief. I was going for the connection. I was going to connect with all of these men that have been brought to this place where they had an opportunity to connect to whatever this great impulse within all of us is that's causing all of our heart to beat. And I was interested to not only connect with these guys, but learn with them, to learn their ways, to learn about what empowers them and gives them the passion to study the religion of their choice. And, you know, at one of the Christian meetings that we went to, which were beautiful, there's some beautiful people and amazing, the hymns they would sing. And, you know, it was inspiring. Every single religious meeting that I went to was inspiring. And there was incredible people in each one, beautiful men. And but at this one meeting, there's a bunch of people at the Christian meeting, and the chapel, before it started, comes over to me and he's like, "Przansky, come here." I went up to him and he's like, "I've noticed that you're going to all the different religious meetings." And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Why? Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "Why wouldn't I? I'm looking for the similarities that we all share, not the differences. There's a greater force present in us, around us, all of us, connecting everything. And that's what I'm here to focus on." And he just started laughing at me. He's like, couldn't even, had no idea what I was even talking about, but laughed, like openly laughed at me. And then he goes up and speaks to the whole group. And he says, you know, many people think that there are many paths to God. And he goes, there's not. There's only one. And it is through Jesus Christ, through this Bible, through you have to believe in this with all your heart and soul and nothing else, or you are not going to God. You are going to hell. And he looked right at me, directly square in the face, in front of 50 men, roughly, that were all in that meeting. He stared right at me. And I mean, it was so awkward the way he stared at me when he said that, and all these men in there knew he was staring directly at me because they all know. Everybody knows what everybody does in there. You know, it's a small world, literally. And they're looking at me. And for a moment, I felt fear. Okay, I felt a feeling that was not comfortable of like, whoa, this guy just insulted the divine in me. He insulted the reason that I came here. And for a moment, it caused me to question my own connection and faith and coherence to what I know for me is true, is real, is connected to everything infinite and infinitesimal, the macroscopic and the microscopic, the biggest and the smallest. I know what that is for me. I know what it feels like. But in that moment of that guy saying that, it caused me to feel fear. And for a moment, I was questioning myself. I was like, my God, what if he's right? What if he's, and just for a moment. But then, out of nowhere, I caught myself. And I realized, ooh, look what I did. I totally caught it. I was like, I just gave my power of attention away to somebody that was giving them power over me in a way that was disempowering me. And I could feel the actual stress that this caused in my body. Okay, and that was the first sign right there that I was like, okay, I allowed my own purity, my own love for the divine, which I know is in me, it's pulsing me, it's all around me. I gave what I know to be true, what I trust, what has carried me through life or death situations. I gave that away to this man's belief systems. And my body felt sick. I felt weak. I went through this fear-based thing. But when I got it, when I caught it and I felt it, I was like, oh. And so instead of being upset or angry or going through any of the things or feeling like a victim, I knew what I had to do. I was like, oh, okay. He just hasn't gotten to a point where he's been able to rise in the heart of love, which is what Christ supposedly truly spoke about, not the interpretations of all the people that came after it that used religiosity in a way for their own benefit, but the true essence of what each of those teachings represented is something that dwells. It's a living scripture, it's a living word, it's a sound, it's a vibration. It is the pulse of life that animates this being. And for a moment, I gave that away for somebody else. But I just knew, I was like, oh, he just hasn't gotten to the point where he's able to love himself and this life enough to be able to reflect that back to me. And so instead of being mad or upset or going through all that stuff, I chose to not do any of that. And I chose to have compassion for him. And I said, you know what? He might not be able to love me the way that I would hope he would as a brother, as a fellow human being that I share this planet with, but I can do that for him. And I did that, and I did that, and when I did it, I felt this frequency in me. I felt my heart beating calm but strong. and it was affecting my mind, and I just felt so balanced inside. And I realized at that moment, I was like, it wasn't even about him. The whole thing that happened with him blaming me and making me feel like I'm going to hell because I don't believe what he believes, it wasn't about him. He was an unresolved aspect within myself that I needed to confront in that way, that caused me to realize that I had a choice. I could have made a choice, and then I had two choices in that situation. I could have bowed down to him in fear, and he would have had power over me. I would have been giving this beautiful, divine spark of life that is animating my being over to somebody else's belief systems. Or I could choose to do the opposite and not give my power to him and say, you know what? Okay, that caused fear. It was embarrassing. It caused all this stuff. And maybe in a worst case scenario, which has happened probably to countless people, that is what the word martyr comes from, where they're killed or tortured or abused for their own beliefs. I said, you know what? Even in a worst case scenario like that, I trust this life force in me that is gifting me the opportunity to be alive more than I do the fear that I felt, this momentary fear that I felt by giving my attention away to somebody or something externally. And I learned a huge, huge lesson in that moment. And I realized how powerful I had the potential to be when I got out of my own way, when I surrendered the fears of my human conditioned beliefs, behaviors, actions, ideas, thoughts over to this coherent field of energy that is in me. I learned that when I surrendered my ego, my fearful, conditioned self, to this expansive, coherent energy that is in me, that's in you, that's in everyone, it caused my ego, my human self, to elevate and trust in this power that is within me, that is within you, even more. And that's a major win for the ego because most of us don't know how powerful we are. And the world has taught us that we're not powerful. And we have believed it, we've bought into it. It didn't mean to do that in the sense like it's not like trying to. It did it because it doesn't know. And it doesn't know. This, I could go on and on forever. I'm not going to go in this direction. Essentially, the conditions of the world that cause us to live in a way that is disconnected from the truth as it exists, the living word of reality. It isn't a word at all, it's a vibration, it's a frequency, it's a multi-dimensional unified field of conscious living energy that is animating each and every one of us. It is what we truly are, and it is all that truly matters. But until the ego, the human identity, the part of us that has been conditioned to think we are something separate or different from that, until that part of us, that conditioned egoic perspective, is trained like a puppy dog, like training something that we love in a way to trust that what we want is good for it. And that's essentially what's happening. This soul, this energy in each one of us is attempting to train the ego in a very loving way, even though it can appear very awful at times, but essentially it is training us. It is teaching us to learn to live in love with it. And when it does that, our human ego, our human self begins to become more aligned with its essential nature. And we, as these human beings, begin to embody the virtues of this greater purpose, this greater field of energy that we truly are. That is the reason we incarnated. That is everything we actually really are. But it takes that training. It takes that, we've been conditioned to believe we're separate. It's happened throughout our entire life. It's happened throughout countless life cycles. It's happened ancestrally. We have lived for countless generations in disconnection to what we actually are. And we actually enabled that. We allowed that to happen. But now we have come to a place and time where we're waking back up. We're realizing that we are so powerful and that we have the ability to heal all of that by reconditioning ourselves gently if need be. I did it hardcore. I took a very hardcore route to this, but we don't need to do that. We don't need to do hardcore things. We can begin to train ourselves. We can allow this soul, this energy that we truly are, to train our human identification, our ego, in a gentle, loving way, just as we would train a horse or a kitten or a puppy or something to trust us enough to have a relationship with it so that we can work together to do greater things, whatever that may be, even if it's just having this wonderful relationship. That's what's happening. So now, let's fast forward to what we are experiencing right now as individuals, as a species, as this world, as a result of COVID, as a result of these mass lockdowns, as a result of being told that we need to wear this mask. All of these things that are causing us to be afraid are the very things that are really trying to teach us to not be afraid, to trust this internal thing, this internal voice, this internal love affair, this connection to the divine that we all truly are, not this temporary human identity that we are addicted to believing is all there is. That's not. That's a temporary, tiny, microscopic blip in time, but it is a beautiful, amazing gift, opportunity. But most of us are missing the boat. Or, excuse me, most of us have missed the boat. But now that's changing. Now many of us are waking up and we're realizing, whoa, we can get on the boat and we can actually sail to smoother seas where we're going to be uplifted, where we're going to be living in harmony with this great giant ocean underneath us that seems so big and we're so small, but we have an opportunity to live in harmony with it. And we're beginning to consciously wake up from the parts of us that have gone into ancestral dormant conditioning that have unknowingly enslaved us to this internal prison, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of it, that we are now beginning to undo, to take out it brick by brick that we have that we have put up and constructed over countless lifetimes. We're taking those bricks off, and the light of what we truly are is beginning to shine through, and it's happening to so many of us. So when we watch the TV, which I don't watch the news, I don't watch the TV, I don't do any of that stuff. Every now and then I have friends who are really connected to a lot of more what people might think is deep inside information of what's actually happening with all this, which most people don't know or believe, or even if they thought it's possible, they don't want to accept that, you know, we're being played. We're being completely mass manipulated, but not in the way that any of these things are portraying. And even in all the quote unquote fear porn, and even in all the ways that most people are perceiving what they think is happening, no matter what part of the political spectrum they're on. It's still them perceiving it from a part of them that has been conditioned for countless life cycles. So they're doing the best they can. And I love all of them for doing that. But we are all, each and every one of us, being called for something way greater. Way, way, way greater. And it is within the ability of each one of us to heed that call, to become aware of what this greater force is and what it is attempting to communicate to us, through us. But it is up to us as the individuals to choose. Am I going to listen to the men and women, mostly men, on TV who are telling us all these fear-based things that are causing us to constrict and be afraid, and oh my God, I might die, oh my God, my family, and oh no, my life, and oh no, oh no, oh no. We just keep putting up brick by brick by brick, making our own prison of perception by continuously giving the most valuable thing that we have, our attention, our awareness. There is not all the money in the world does not equal the value of human perception when we are focused on the source of life that is animating our being. It is worth more than all the money, than all the riches, than all the gold that exists on the face of this planet, on any star system, in any galaxy, in any universe, anywhere, times infinity. Okay? Each one of us is that. We are that powerful. We are that valuable. We are that beautiful. But when we give the most priceless, invaluable thing that we have, which is our attention, to the thoughts, ideas, beliefs, opinions, to the people on TV, or to the information that's coming up on our feed when we look at our phone or we read the internet, when we constantly keep investing our attention in all of these perspectives, even if they seem like they're so true, we are bit by bit taking attention away from a practice, from a state of being that if we were to give more attention to, would empower us. It would empower these bodies that we are in to function in a way that they become aligned with this coherent force that is animating it. And our conscious perception through our human lens that we view the world through starts to become harmonized with this coherent energy that is radiantly beaming through us at all times. And we start to consciously, subconsciously, and eventually unconsciously become aware of what was previously invisible, or what we would have previously thought of as unknowable. And we start to become aligned with it. And when we look at or listen to or witness all of the quote unquote atrocities that are taking place all over the world and believe those to be more valid and more true than this energy that is communicating to us, we are allowing human beings. We're trusting the communication of other human beings than we are the communication of the divine within ourselves. And we are selling ourselves short. Each and every one of us that continues to buy into this lie, this propaganda, these belief systems that are not ours, and they're not even the people's that are spouting them off. We're being called to rise above that. It's okay if you listen to it, but don't let it make you afraid. Don't let it cause you to constrict, because when you constrict, you're going into a state of fear. You're going into a state of ego, and you are blocking yourself from the actual soul that you truly are, that is animating your being, that is in every cell of your body, that is causing your DNA to exist. And when you allow that soul that you truly are to be what it is. And you keep practicing by surrendering the part of you that is afraid of the world and that is afraid of the potential of you being something greater to that greatness. You feel that greatness begin to start working through you. And that expansion that the soul is in alignment with the universe. The universe is in a state of expansion. And when you're in a state of constant constriction, you are blocking yourself off from this great universal energy that is totally here supporting you at every moment, all the time. And when you start to trust that soul, you trust that energy, and you begin to practice and you live in alignment with it, and you keep surrendering the parts of you that resist this more and more and more and more, then you eventually, the ego, the part of you that's afraid and believes the stories and all the things that's going on, it rises above it. You feel this frequency that is animating your being. You feel it so deep inside of you. And you begin to realize that it is communicating to you in a way that is so beautiful. It's so profound. It is so divine. It is so majestic. It is beyond anything that any language in any tradition that I've ever known of could ever express. But it's within each and every one of us to embody and express the virtues of through our thoughts, our beliefs, our behaviors, our actions, our communications, our way of interacting with one another. And it's a frequency that is what we truly are. And when we start surrendering the parts of us that are afraid of everything that appears to be going on, and we start to train ourselves to love this essence that is beating each and every one of our heart, it's causing our lungs to breathe, that's causing all of these imperceptibly, just incomprehensibly bioelectromagnetic energetic reactions taking place in our autonomic nervous system faster than the speed of light, we begin to realize that our human identity is just one little piece of this massive, infinite puzzle that actually is complete. It is so complete. It is so beautiful. And the more we begin to become aware of that and allow ourselves to be attuned to it, because it already is anyway. It's already happening no matter what. And we're choosing to get on the boat and to sail out into smoother seas and to trust that great big ocean underneath us and all the beings and creatures that are in it that could cause so much fear, but we are in harmony with it and we trust it. And suddenly we remember who we are. We remember why we incarnated, and we know that it is this type of awareness that each of us have the potential to embody that is going to bring the true change into this world that each and every one of us want more than anything. I don't care what end of the political spectrum people are on. They want love and harmony more than anything because they are not separate from us. They are not different from us. They are us and we are them. But we can only come to the realization of that and really be harmonized to what that actually means when we, as the individuals that we believe ourselves to be, start harmonizing our human perception with this energy that we truly are. And as this synthesis occurs between the heart, the mind, the gut, all of these systems in our body, when all of these glands that are in each part of our body start to become activated with this energy that we truly are, our conscious self remembers what all this is and why it's happening. And we become true ambassadors of reality, living in this world, doing what our jobs are, living in alignment with why we incarnated. And so the more we choose to do this, the more we see that no matter how evil people appear to be, or no matter how, whatever these agendas are that are taking place and just causing so much pandemonium, the more we start investing our energy into this energy that we truly are and get beyond our human beliefs, ideas, perceptions, thoughts, attitudes from this life, most especially, then we start to realize that it purges all the other stuff that is accumulated as a sum total accumulation of all our karmic lifetimes from the past, which are all simultaneously existing right here in the now. We become the true beings that are in alignment with the universe. And it's from that place that we can witness all of these atrocities that are happening and bring this energy that is reality, that is the sanctified universe, the living universe. It will come through us, through all these glands of our body, through each and every part of us. And we reflect that back into all of the things that used to cause us fear, that we used to label and judge as horrible, and hate, all this hate for, oh, this man is, I don't care. Like, you're, when you hate anybody or anything, you are telling the cells of your body, you're like poisoning the cells of your body. And you know better. You know better, okay? You might not remember that you know better, but you do. And at the moment of your death, when you leave this body, you're going to remember in those brief moments between the edge of your human self and the entrance into the infinite soul that you've always been. You're going to remember that you always did know, but that you temporarily forgot for a blip in time as this human identified belief system that you invested more attention and energy into than the divine source that you actually are. And you're going to say, oh my God, how did I forget? I've been doing this forever. I can't believe I forgot. And oh my God, it's too late. I'm dying, and you're dead and you're gone into another life cycle. But it doesn't have to be that way anymore. And that's why people like me exist. That's why people like you exist. Because if you hear or feel or are aware of anything within you that resonates with the core of what it is that's actually being communicated, I'm urging you to start paying more attention to what that is than all the attention that you give to all the things in the world that seem like they're happening. Because when you start giving your attention to that feeling, that sound, that energy, that awareness that is within you, communicating to you, through you, you are going to rise above the conditioning of this temporary human world that you've become addicted to. You will rise above it, and you will begin to become embodied by the frequency of what it is that you truly are. And you are a soul that has traveled through a sea of stars, through countless lifetimes, to become the embodiment of what it is that you're here now. And you can do this, you guys. I'm telling you, you can do this because I'm here. I remember it. I know what happened to me. I remember all of it. And I choose. I choose moment after moment every single day that I am only here to be an instrument of this greater purpose. And I don't care if they fucking beat me, if they put me through hell. I'm not afraid of any of it, because this frequency that I feel in me is the same frequency that is causing your heart to beat. It's causing every single microbe on the face of this planet to exist. It's what's causing every single ecosystem on this planet to function in coherence together. It's what's causing the planet to exist in this beautiful solar system that we're in. It's causing the solar system to exist in this beautiful galaxy that we're in, and on and on and on and on and way beyond all of that. It's the same thing. It's the same energy. It is what you really are. It is not the beliefs It is not your perception. It is not your addiction to all these things that everybody's been telling you since before you were even born, when you're in your mother's womb and you're being conditioned by her thoughts, feelings, beliefs, behaviors, actions, by the world's. You are this. This is what you are. And if you don't want to wake up and take responsibility for that here and now, you will eventually be made to take responsibility for it, because that is what is. So I'm here for you guys. I'm here to help you wake up and remember this part of yourself so that you can start attuning your human perception to this part of yourself, to what you really are, and live in this world as the purpose that you incarnated for. And you've got me, and I know there's others out there. And this is it. This is what I do every moment. I am only here for this, and I remember, and I know that you can remember, and that's what I want for you, and I'm here to help you do that. So thank you for letting me share this with you tonight, and listen to this. I'm going to post it. I'll keep it on there. Listen to this over and over if you resonate with it at all, and listen to it in a way that, again, it's not me. I am nobody. I am nothing. I am. Sorry, my pants are a little tight on me here. I am a reflection of a part of you that is remembering the part of yourself that this message is communicating to. And the more you willingly choose to become aware of that part of yourself, the more you're gonna start to wake up to the degree where this frequency, this energy of divinity that you truly are, that has no name, it has no religion, it has no nothing, but it is a part of all of them, will begin to function to you, through you. You will begin to cultivate a relationship, the relationship that you're really after. Really, really, truly after. You may not know it. You may think you want to be with some other person, that some other person is going to reflect back to you something that you think you need, but you don't. The relationship is not with another person. It's going to come from you choosing to be in right, you could call it relationship, with this energy that is animating your being. And what I mean by right relationship isn't it is by being in coherence with this energy you are. And the more you do that, the more you are going to literally walk in this world as somebody and something, as a beacon of truth, as light, of love, of all of it, the embodiment of everything. And the darkest, most evil, most scary things that normally were making you afraid before are going to cause you to have compassion. You're not going to look at them and say, oh, President Trump is evil, or oh, Donald Biden is evil, or whatever his name is. You're not going to even care about any of that stuff anymore, because none of that has even a bearing of significance in juxtaposition to the significance of your own human ego cultivating a relationship to the soul you really are. That is the true reason for your incarnation. That is what is going to get you out of this fucking prison that everybody thinks that they're in. Okay, it's what I actually went to a physical prison. I was put inside a prison and treated like a bad dog. And it is by consistently loving this energy that was in me, just like water eventually erodes rock. This is what I did. I just kept loving this energy and trusting it more and more and more than all the people who were, all the prison guards that were yelling at me, telling me what to do, all the inmates that wanted to fight and scream and yell. I knew that this energy in me was way more important than any of that. And eventually, by doing that enough times, like water erodes rock, all the parts of me that were blocked and inhibited and were stuck in these fear-based states that were causing sickness in my body broke open, just like a dam breaking through, just like a river breaking through a dam. And suddenly, all of the men and people that I thought I had a problem with, I didn't. I loved them. They were just little kids who had been harmed and conditioned, and they just didn't know it. And I had compassion for them because I knew that ultimately they wanted to be in alignment with something that caused them to feel peace. And the politics that are playing out on the global stage right now in the world, it's the same thing. These people are only doing all of this because they are not conscious of what it is they truly are. And us fighting fire with fire is not going to cause resolution. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We, as the individuals that we are, have to choose bit by bit, like water erodes rock, to align ourselves with the Christed energy, with the Atma, with the Buddha, with the whatever religious iconography you want to inject into it, whatever the essence of all of those highest religious aspirations are, times infinity. You choose to take your human consciousness and continue to align it with that, and you are going to bring a state of peace and calm to the suffering of this world that will cause the most wicked things that we perceive to eventually melt in the face of it all, like water erodes rock. And that will bring the change into this world that we all want to see. And you're not going to have to be a martyr. You're not going to have to be worried about being killed. And even if you are, but no matter what your fears are, face them knowing that on the other side of your fears is the greatest release. On the other side of your fear is this divine spark of energy. And believe it or not, your fear is that divine spark of energy trying to get your attention so that you can make a choice to either rise above it or keep resisting it. And that is the ego's resistance to the soul. So it is entirely a personal choice. It is something that only you and you alone can do, and it's a choice that you make for yourself. So I'm here again to tell you that I have made this choice, and I make this choice moment after moment. And you know what? I was so sick at one time. I had so many problems. I mean, it was endless and it was infinite. And all of that stuff has gone away. Sure, I still have a few things, but I am so in love. I am having a love affair that feels like the best feeling I've ever felt times infinity. And I know it is always there, no matter what, on the darkest night of my soul, it's there. And I have trained myself like a puppy to love that part of myself unconditionally, no matter what. And it has given me feedback enough times. So now I'm at the point where I'm ready. I know it's there. It's got my back. It's got my side. It's backing me up. It's everywhere. It's all through us. So I'm here to inspire all of you to come to terms with that in your own way. And it doesn't have to be immediate. You can do it in countless lifetimes if you want, but I'm here to plant the seed for you to remember why you incarnated, not what the world told you it did with all of its politics and religion and belief systems and all that, but the real reason. And that comes down, like I said, to the ego and the soul. Is your ego, is your human self resisting the expansion of the soul? Because if you are, you're causing constriction within the cells of your body. And that equates eventually to dis-ease, to sickness. But when you, as this person you believe yourself to temporarily be, start to keep facing this resistance to your fear, to this expansion that is taking place within you, that is taking place in the entire physical universe, then you begin to break down that internal constriction that you've been addicted to, that's caused all this sickness in your body, along with all of the other sickness that's being spread around the world. And it will release, it will go. The parts of you that suffer begin to dissipate, and you become attuned to the truth that you really are. And this is what I want for you, because this is what's going to bring the true change into this world. It's not some political leader. Okay, if they become attuned to this, then they're going to be a part of helping us get to that. Because it doesn't matter who wins for president, we are still a species living a lifestyle that is totally incongruent and not harmonious and totally out of coherence with natural law. So it's up to us as individuals to begin to make choices that are going to align ourselves with this natural law that is the essence of the soul and the ego, either resisting or embracing each other. Excuse me. The soul is trying to embrace the ego, and the ego is trying to resist it. But the more we condition our egos to allow this embrace to occur, the more it will. And the more our human self starts to wake up and remember why this all happened. And then we trust it. And suddenly we become endowed with the virtues of it, and we express it in our own unique way together. Okay? Because these are the people that I want to talk with. These are the people I want to have a conversation and communication with. These are the problem solvers that already know they are the solution. These are the people that I want to create a world with. So be this, do this, connect to this, become it, and then let's meet from that place and create the kind of world that our children deserve. And thank you for bearing with me through all of this. I promise you it's worth more than the weight of all the gold in all the star systems of the galaxy. Okay, I promise you. And with God, the universe, the Atma, Allah, Brahma, Hashem as my witness, if I'm wrong, correct me now, here, with whatever measure that may be, because I know you, I love you, you are with me, I'm with you, and I am not afraid of any of this, and I have nothing but true reverence, awe, and respect for this love affair, this relationship, this connection, because I know that beyond the confines, the preconditioned confines of who I used to believe myself to be, is this connection to the divine. And I know that that is what I actually am. And that's what all this actually is. So, with that, I'm going to look through the comments here. I'm like totally buzzing here. I'm just totally on I'm hyper aware of so many different frequencies and levels. And so now would be a wonderful time if anybody wants to ask me any questions or anything about anything that I presented tonight. Ask now, because I have access to a living library of information that I would love to help you become empowered with from within yourself. It's funny, I just noticed the reflection of the computer screen on the window behind me, the glass screen. It's the little things, right? We become more observant. So, if anybody has any questions, ask now. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this off and I'm going to go into a deep state of coherent meditation, which is what I'm going to do after this. So, let's see. Alexandra Remington. Is anything in life forgivable, do you believe? Ah, what a beautiful question. Yes. Everything is forgivable. Everything, everything, everything. However, from the state of being that most of us are conditioned to be in or are addicted to being in, forgiveness is something that is very difficult to do from that place because we are bound by, you could say, three-dimensional, or better yet, laws of density that have accumulated from countless lifetimes of human beings perceiving things from a very narrow lens of perception, giving the temporary illusory appearance of a density that makes it difficult for us to connect to these higher virtues or frequencies that would allow us to forgive. But the thing is this forgiveness, okay? It isn't at the core, it isn't for anybody or anything that we think is happening in the world around us. It's for you. It is literally for you as this temporary archetypal human perception that you believe yourself to be, to forgive the transgressions that you may or may not be aware of that have taken place in this lifetime and throughout countless lifetimes. And it's through this forgiveness that it's offering you the opportunity to rise above all of that bit by bit until you begin to start becoming coherent with everything that I've been sharing with you tonight. So tell me if that was what you were looking for. And if it's not, then ask away. And if anybody has more, let's see. Hannah Colby. Hey, Hannah. And I wanted to shout out Molly Shelter too. I'm going to tag her in this. She made this necklace for me. And it's funny, I don't really ever wear jewelry. I used to when I was younger, but I just stopped. I don't wear things. I like the way that I feel with nothing. But she made this black onyx necklace for me, and she's like asked if I would wear it in a video. So I want to shout out her for doing that. I'm gonna tag her name in this so that people can see if they want to know more about her jewelry. It's beautiful. I love it. It's stretchy and just these beautiful stones that I'm wearing. So Hannah said, anyone have... oh, okay, that's not to me. All right. Anybody have any questions on here? Hello, Anne, if you're still here. All right. I would like to, but sleepy. No, go to bed. I just downloaded some. You were with it the whole time. So, what just happened for those who stuck around is I just went into a highly coherent space that I have spent years and years of my life cultivating. I've directed massive amounts of my sexual energy internally, which is that life force itself. I have taken massive amounts of heart, brain, gut, whole body, whole organ, whole soul coherence, and I have focused it like a laser beam on this infinite expansion. Notice the dichotomy and the paradoxical nature of the words that I'm using. And as a result of doing what I just did, I just broke through all these layers of density that nearly all of us are addicted to most of the time. And I spoke and gave voice to something from that augmented perspective. And as a result of doing that, I anchored in a lot of these frequencies and information that everybody has access to, but that most of us are not aware that we have the ability to have a direct connection with. And so everybody that was here, that was with this, that listened to it, that paid attention to it, is going to be affected by this. And watch your dreams. They could be hard, they could be evil, they could be scary. Watch the things that happen. They could be beautiful, they could be expansive, they could be quantum. Doesn't matter. Don't be addicted to any of it. Don't believe any of it. Just be aware of it and realize that Now you're on something that is causing you to expand beyond all of the conditioning of this life and countless lives. And the more you choose to align your perception with it, then you will eventually be led to the part of you that will do the same or do something similar, but in your own unique way. And Rebecca just said, sorry, just signed on. Don't worry. It doesn't matter. This is non local. It's not time stamped. It's universal. Go back, watch it. I just gave a powerful, powerful transmission. This is timeless. You can keep revisiting this. And in fact, I'm going to urge everybody to listen to this over and over and over and over until I do the next one. And it doesn't even matter. Use this one ad infinitum, use it forever. But the information is going to be relevant forever because it's what it is. It's what, and again, I've said enough. I've said it all already. So listen to this, ask questions, comment on it, share it, and let's come together. Like, I want you guys to know this, to be this, to do this, and then let's come together from that place. Let's create a world that we all want from that place. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me share this with you. Thank you, Molly, for making this beautiful necklace. And I will see you guys soon. There is lots more coming. We're going to change the world. We have to. It is our destiny. And I, as one, am not settling for anything less. So, till next time, love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Good night.